Okay, so we read about 4 shlokas in the past, a very brief recap. So the first one, if we remember, was to bring Arjuna to his senses, or should I say Arjuna out of his senses to a different reality. Ashocyanan vashochastvam prajnavadancha bhashase gatasuna gatasuncha nanu shochanti panditaha. So those for whom you should have no sorrow, you are having sorrow, and you talk like a very wise man. So you see the kataksh. Arjuna has been suddenly, Arjuna who has surrendered is told, you talk like a wise man, but you're having sorrow for those for whom you should have no sorrow. So right off the bat, Arjuna is taken into a different order, as we've discussed before. But what is it that you should have no sorrow for? And who are you? So that is where he has brought him, which is right away. If I were Arjuna, I would have a shock of my life. What are you talking about? What paradigm are you in? There's a paradigm shift that has happened. Gatasuna, gatasuncha. Now, gatasuna is suna, asun is prana, original one terms. Gatasuna. One whose prana is gone, agatasun, one whose prana is not gone. So why should you have sorrow for one whose prana is not gone? So there are different theories about it. One is just a way of saying gatasuna, gatasun. Whether someone is leaving or not leaving, you should have no sorrow for it. And that's how Sri Aurobindo has translated it. Others say that this doesn't really imply it's just not just a way of speaking. It is that you are having sorrow for these people who have not left yet. That is your mistake. So he's having sorrow for these guys who have not even died. So you're having sorrow for those who have died. Well, that's still acceptable. These people who have not died, you're having sorrow for. So there's panditaha, plural, panditaha. They never have sorrow for. Whether you have died or whether you have not died, they don't have sorrow for it, for a person, which is a beautiful way of saying it. I love it. Does that come through? Gata soon, those whose prana has left, and those whose prana has not left, you should have no sorrow for them. So then the second one is, then he tells them, look, we have been here. There was no time when we were not, and there is no time when we will not be. Again, keeping in that same thought process, natve vaham jatu nasam. When we say these, remember each pada, there are 4 padas. This is anushtuka, and 4 pada, each pada is a varna, a complete varna. 8 such varnas make a pada. So na in the tve is only one word. Va is one word. Ha is not one word, one varna. So ha is one word, varna. So na, ve, va, ha, 4 varnas. Ja, tu, na, sa. So that's how we're going to read it. Natve vaham jatu nasam natvam ne me janadipa. Now see how the music carries us. Because when we come to the beauty of the meters, this will become important. But if you like to chant it, it's a very beautiful way to relax in the morning. Natvevaham jatu nasam natvam ne me janadhipaha na va ne me ja na dhe pa. 8 varnas. Half varnas are not counted. A complete varna is the vyanjana plus a swara. Swara is what? A, I, U, U. These are the swara. Vyanjana is ka, 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 ga, ga, na. But those ka is with a halant. It's not, so you add the swara, then it becomes ka, ka, ki, ki, right? So when the vyanjana has the swara with it, then it becomes a purna varna. That is to be counted. Okay, so this is called a varnik chanda. It goes by the number of varnas. Why is this important? Because unlike English, Sanskrit, each varna has a due length. A, E, U. A, A. A is longer. A, E, U, U. So one is Risva, short. The other is Dirgha, long. Now, in Varnik Chanda, it makes no difference if it is small or long, Risva or Dirgha. So the value of Na is as important as Paha. It is still one Varna because it's complete. So Na, Tvam, this is Tvam is Va is second, and at the end Paha, that is only one. It is not that A makes it two. Are you with me? I'm sorry, I'm going into the intricacies of it, but it's good to know this because later Hindi, you go into the Matrik Chanda, where A becomes two and Na is one. Risva is one, and Risva is only A, I, U. A, U, E, A, I, O, Au are considered Dirgh. So I just wanted to, and then there is a Ri, Ru, and Ru, and Ru, and Ru. But I don't want to torture you too much. But it's just good to get a sense. So you should know the beauty of how I have Ajita when I try to write in Chanda. It is not easy to write in Chanda. So I just want you to know what a genius. My next book, if I can write it, and Swamiji, I've sent you some essays, will be The Genius of the Gita. I've decided what the title is. The Genius of the Gita. Every time I read it, my brain goes, "Yar, how can I reach this level? What a genius." Whether there was a Krishna who spoke it or whether it was just Ved Vyasa who just wrote it, okay, I'll make it up. Even if he made it up, it was so brilliant. So there was a Ved Vyasa who was such a genius. Then, I'll worship Ved Vyasa as my guru in poetry. So, natve vaham jatu nasam natvam neme janadhipah. Don't forget the visarga. Aha. Ha. Na chaiva na bhavishyamah sarve vayamatah param. Now, visarg, if followed by a pa, becomes a fa. So, sarve vayamatah param. So just if you want to remember extra things that no one will understand, but you will. So if you read it, they'll say, okay, what a guy, Ajay, he knows his recitation. That is important because as we go into the mantra, we have to capture the sound. If we can capture the sound, the value of our Shastra, or especially our Shrutis, goes up 10x. 10x. Meaning plus the experience. So the sound is the experience. Now, this sound is the consciousness of Sri Krishna. Just like when we read Savitri, it is the consciousness of Sri Aurobindo, and that's how we receive it, as if we are touching, we are experiencing the awareness of a great yogi. You cannot have a greater contact. Guru is sitting right next to you, you're touching it. That is how powerful it is. Dehinosmin yatha dehe, dehinosmin yatha dehe, kaumaram yauvanam jara, tatha dehantara praptihe, dhiras tatrana muhyati. Now there is a sandhi, prapti and dhi. There is a visarg, so it's become praptir dhir. But when we do in padas, the four padas, you will say tatha dehantara praptihe, dhiras tatrana muhyati. So we have talked about this. I won't go over this. If I just wanted to get you to get a flavor in the morning, you wake up, you want to hear some. That's what I try to do. I put on and I read up. I just read it. It doesn't enter my brain, doesn't care. The sound is so beautiful. So I think Jiten had asked about what does it mean? Does it refer to the Purusha? And in the 15th shloka, I'll just jump to the 15th shloka after the 14th. Matra sparshastu konteya shitoshna sukha dukha daha agama payino nityaha Tans titikshasva bharata. And titiksha, we talked about it, one of the most important things in the early days, the beginning of our yoga, titiksha, the passive withdrawal. No matter what happens, there's no reaction. Not easy. That itself is a yoga. And Sri Krishna pushes samata has to be there. This is not for violent people who are angry. He's not telling them go and kill people. No, people think Gita is okay, go and fight. No, that is not what it is about at all. And people complain about it. Our genius Amartya Sen says he never answers Arjuna's questions. He wrote an essay on it, and he refers to it in the argumentative Indian. Well, very respectfully, I will tell Amartya Sen ji that he answers all the questions. He takes him to a different level. And at that level, all the issues are resolved. Most of these people with a very physical way of materialistic way of looking at this do not understand that we have had a paradigm shift. War becomes something entirely different. It becomes a situation for meditation. And that is the beauty of the Gita. It pitches you right in the midst of life and death. And then it says, when it becomes a really intense experience, oh my God, what is going to happen? The entire life of a nation is at stake. Suddenly says, okay, now let's meditate. So that is the intensity, because it gives you the context of how critical, how important. The frame of reference is so vast. Mahabharata. The entire Mahabharata depends on this conversation. The lives of 18 Akshohini and 11 Akshohini. So that's 29 Akshohini Sena people depends on this. The future of Bharat Varsha depends on it. Our whole civilization, we wouldn't be here today. It depends on it. So that is, and without the Gita, Mahabharata has no meaning. Useless. It could be any other epic. It could be like Homer. It would have no meaning. The depth comes from the Gita. Gita is the anchor. It's the pivot around which the whole Mahabharata is revolving. And Mahabharata is the context. Mahabharata gives Gita the context. And Gita gives Mahabharata its pivot, its anchor, right? Neva, the foundation is the Gita. An entire Mahabharata, if there's any question, go back to the Gita. And all the issues are resolved. People get confused whether Karna was right, whether Bhishma was right. Go back to Sri Krishna. Who is with Sri Krishna, who is not with Sri Krishna? That's my criterion. If you're not with Sri Krishna, you have a problem, no matter how sattvic you are. So, yam he na vyatyante te, yam he na vyatyante te, purusham purusharshabha, sama dukha sukham dhiram, so mritatvaya kalpate. This I just absolutely love. This shloka, it takes us to a different level, and it connects us to one of Swamiji's favorite Shruti, the Veda, Rig Veda. So why? The Rig Veda is about our rishis' journey and exploration into what? Amritam. When our rishis started, what was their goal? To discover the path of truth, the path of light, path of bliss, and the path of immortality. In fact, Sri Aurobindo says that if there's one thing they wanted, was immortality. Immortality of what kind? So immortality, your true immortality. But our rishis in the Veda even talk about physical transformation. They refer to it in symbols. They talk about the sun in matter, in Adri. The Surya, which is the highest symbol of the highest consciousness, is buried in Adri, in Shila, in rock, in stone. And Indra, which is our higher consciousness, can release it. So in the physical also Surya is present. Now, coming back here, last, so mritatvaya kalpate. Kalpate is to create. You can create it, or being capable of it. So the one who is the Purusha, who is not bothered by sukha, dukha, yam hena vyatyantete, vyatha, who has no vyatha. Vyatyanti is one who gets tortured, who gets all vyatha. Oh my God. Oh, it's too much. I have sorrow. Yam he na vyatyantyete purusham, that Purusha. And look at the beautiful yamak alankar. If someone loves poetry, purusham purusharshabha. He's brought Purusha twice. One Purusha is that which is pure consciousness, and the second Purush is the greatest of the Purushas, the greatest of human beings, and that is Arjuna. So it has Yamak Alankar, Swamiji, if you remember your Hindi poetry days, Yamak Alankar is beautifully brought here. Sama Dukha Sukham Dhiram. In Sukha and Dukha, he is in Samata, he is Dhira. That is the one who will create immortality, or who is capable of immortality. Now we've already touched immortality, and that's a beautiful reference because Amritam, what is that from darkness? Amritma tamasoma jyotirgamaya mrityorma amritagamaya. Remember that? So tamasoma jyotirgamaya. This is a yogic experience, and this is what they're aspiring for all humanity. From darkness may you go to light, mrityu to immortality. And complete me, what was the third one? I forget. Samsoma
Astoma Jyotirgamaya.
Satyamaya. So from the false to the truth. So these were the three very powerful things, and that is what the Rishi aspires for all humanity. So those who can be in Dhira, and Samata becomes very important. The two very important principles, one is Samata and the other is surrender. Not sannyasa, but surrender. Arpana, Atma Samarpana to Sri Krishna. These are two important things, which is called, he refers to it as Yagya later, Yajna. And in 4th chapter, 24th shloka, it becomes very important. Now this, the 16th shloka, I just love because I'm a poet, so I'm sorry, but I have to come back to my poetry, but I think you can appreciate it. Na sato vidyate bhavaha, na bhavo vidyate satah. So that which was not existing has no that which is not nasata, which is not true, has no existence. It's redundant what he's saying, but it's very deep. Because Satya is that which can never be destroyed. Satya is that which never changes. It is constant. It is nitya. So when we talk about Satya, our Satya is not Tathya. We'll come to Samata and Sthairya, Swatiji. So Satya and Tathya is what's the difference? Tathya is, Swamiji is 28 years old. Satya is, Swamiji has no age. Truth, fact. Fact can be relative. Fact is based on our social, outside circumstances. We make fun of each other. Swamiji, your hair is turning gray. But reality is Swamiji's hair is never turning gray. Right? So, sorry, Swamiji, we make fun of you. So, there is a fact, and then there is the truth. The truth has no limit. The truth never changes, and the truth is who we are. That is who we are. So, when he talks about na sato, that which is not true has no existence. And that which has no existence has no truth. But if you understand what he's talking about is Sat. Sat is what? So your Atma, that which is not the Atma has no existence. There's one meaning that comes. That which is not your truth, your being, your Satya, your Purusha has no existence. So why are you worried about it? Again, the same concept. That which has no existence is not the truth. So, but look at how he has repeated the same word. Na sato vidyate bhavaha, Na bhavo vidyate sata. He has taken 3 words and he has repeated them. And the meaning is a deep meaning. This in English is called the chiasma. In Hindi, I think it's called the viparya. You can correct me if I'm wrong, Swamiji. Your Hindi is far better. But it used to be called the viparya, or there are certain terms for it. So you use the same 3 words and you repeat them. It's called almost like an anagram. Repeat it backward, but the meaning is there. It's a beautiful way of saying things. Ubhayorapi drishtonta. So one mistake people make is that S thing, they call it a. We don't use it in chanting. Ubhayorapi drishtonta tvanayos tattva darshibhi. So ubhaya, like ubhaya alankara, it has ubhaya means two. So one who has seen these two to their end, he understands tattva, tattva darshibhi. Tva anyo tattva darshibhi. He has seen the tattva. And tat for us is of great importance. Tat is that, comes later, or actually it has come already in the Upanishad. Tat, tvam, asi, has come already. And so a lot of referencing is happening in the Gita. Those who know the Upanishads, those who know the Veda, because this is a Vedantic Grantha. Some people, that's why they call it Smriti, because Sri Krishna just took it from other Upanishads and used their words. He uses some of their phrases directly. He doesn't even bother changing them. Because we did not care about originality in our tradition. We just take it. If Swamiji has said something beautiful, I'll say it and put my name to it. Swamiji doesn't mind. Because if I have experienced it the same way, if my experience is expressing itself in the same sound, Sri Krishna takes it. And Katha Upanishad, there are certain shlokas, he'll take it and if we want to talk about someday, we can talk about it. And let's talk about one more and then I can come to an end. So far, Sri Krishna is talking about that Purusha, which Arjuna is, which he is, which all of them are. None of them can ever be destroyed. That which can be destroyed does not exist. That which exists is forever. So what is your problem? Avinashi tu tadvidhi yena sarvam idam tatam. So avinashi, that is avinashi. Again, what is avinashi? That Purusha. Tat vidhi. Know that. Vidhi is to know. Yena, by which, from which. Sarvam idam tatam. Sarvam, all this, everything. Idam, here, all this here. Tatam, imbued. Remember the tatam we had come earlier. So, Isha vasyam idam sarvam yatkincha jagatyam jagat tena tyaktena bhunjita. To tena, by that. Yen, by this. Yena. So, by that, everything that is here is imbued. It is penetrating. It is pervading everything that we are. Everything that we are right now, that is pervading through us. It is a beautiful reference, and a lot of people, that's why they say Sri Krishna took what Isha Upanishad said and gave it another language. And if he did, so what? He gave it a new expression, a beautiful 700 shloka expression. That doesn't mean Sri Krishna didn't know it. He doesn't need to invent a new phrase just for originality's sake. We don't give a tinker's damn for originality. What we want to do is the original experience. Do we touch that? If your phrase is a beautiful expression of it, I will use it. There's no problem, because we are then at the same level. We are not different. We are not different beings, right? Sarva Bhutani, I am Vyapt in all things, and I am all things. So Once that understanding comes, then suddenly what's the difference? If you write it, I write it, no problem. Have we touched that point of awareness? So Gita constantly takes us, and we people forget it, Gita constantly takes us to a unity of being. All of us have a unity of being, and that unity, here it is Sri Krishna or Narayana or the divine. All of us have that unity of being, and that is sarva vyapi, that is pervading through all of us, and that is avinashi. Avinashi tu tadvidhi. Know that it is avinashi. Vinashama vyayasyasya. People have problems saying this. Make sure ma is emphasized. Vinashama vyayasyasya. So avyayasya, avyayasya, that is that which cannot be wasted. Vyaya, vyaya, आप व्यय करते हो जैसे business, that's the व्यय, right? Vyavasaya, vyaya. Vyaya is to spend, that which cannot be spent. Vinashama vyayasyasya na kaschit kartum arhati. Arhati is to do. Na kaschit, you cannot. Na kaschit, can never, not in the least bit. Kartum, to do. You can never use it up. You can never waste it. You can never destroy it. No one has the capability of destroying that Atma that pervades through us. Nobody. Now we are in business. Once we know this, then you've come to just these shlokas, these 10 shlokas in our Gita is, we are in a different experience. If we can touch that experience of Sri Krishna, that is the genius. You just come and just remember every shloka he's telling us, he's taking us, and he's assuring us. At the end, he even promises us. He'll give his vachana. He will say, I'm giving you the vachana. Don't worry. Ma shucha. Don't grieve. Don't cry. Don't be a wimp. I'm giving you the promise. But here, constantly, every shloka, he's taking us to a different experience. Intellectually, even intellectually, if we can live that, then guess what? Our life is transformed. By the time we come to the end of the Gita, we are at least intellectually, mentally, the same level as that genius whom we call Sri Krishna, of the mind that was able to bring everything together. What a brilliant mind. So when people say, how do I reach Sri Krishna? You can have through bhakti. Bhakti is great. You can love Sri Krishna, he's beautiful. You can do karma and give everything to Sri Krishna, that's fine, that's beautiful. Or you can appreciate his genius, his mind. And you can live his mind by thinking like him. And that itself you are living Krishna. And that's the Jnana Yoga. And I can tell you that constantly I keep doing this. And I say, every time I go, I say, what a guy. If I can write even 5 shlokas of this level, I'll be proud to consider myself a poet. I mean, we all say, okay, I write poetry. Look at this poetry. And just in 700 shlokas, he has given us a universe, a summary of Veda and Upanishads in practical life. He has made it practical. Just by understanding him, we are changing. You just understand, okay, just keep going back to it. Avinashi tu tadvidhi, that cannot be destroyed, and it's pervading through all of us. Now what? After that, he's given us the sar of the first shloka of the Isha Upanishad. And no one can ever waste it. No one can ever destroy it. No one can ever use it up. Even intellectually, if you open it up, every shloka is worth meditating on. Just the day you spend, and Sri Aurobindo used to recommend it. Take one shloka and just meditate on it. Unfortunately, what happened was, people go and take one shloka and that becomes their whole career. But each shloka is a unique experience. And he has given it to that. So if you go back, I'm sorry to keep repeating it, but bear with me. This is an experience that he has given you. That Atman, that Purusha is pervading through all of us, and no one can ever waste it. He's given us the summary. Before that, he was giving us the summary of what? Another way of saying something different, something very beautiful. That which exists, right? And that which does not exist. What is asat and sat? Right? Very simply. Nasato vidyate bhavaha. And some people say that nasato is the body. The body is no existence. Fine, we can take that. Na bhavo vidyate satah. So the body has no satah. And that only has the sat. Right? That is, some people interpret, that's okay too, because there's multiple layers. And one who has figured out the difference of the body and that, ubhyorapi drishtonta tvanyos tattva darshibhi, he knows the tattva. He's given you another experience, related experience, but different, slightly different. Now it's the meditation on sattva, on the Purusha and its sattva. So he is giving you different experiences. It is every shloka is deep, multi-layered, and is a beautiful, like mother used to give one message for the year. That is a message. It is such a beautiful message. So I think if we can just take one shloka and just read it in the morning or understand it, then it becomes absolutely beautiful. One way of thinking it is, since we are all modernized, so it's okay to be modern, to understand that I, this me, this personality, this vyaktitva is very limited, right? I hope everyone realizes that, unless someone says I'm unlimited, but we are all limited. Why are we limited? Because we eat, sleep, and have to cleanse ourselves at the end of the 24-hour cycle. We are still limited by these trifles. No matter how great we want to be, we come back to these little things. So we are limited. Our bodies are limited. Our minds are limited. No matter how smart we may be, minds are limited. Our vital is only so much it can do. Then it has to sleep 8 hours. Then we work a little bit, then it's tired. We need to recover that. What one understands is, can this ability to do things be expanded? Can my existence become wider than this little restriction? Can this existence become wider? This mind that is so limited, can't remember, little distracted, going all over the place. Can this mind become wider, and still and settled, and settled in the truth? Can this vital prana, which is up and down, can it become a universal prana, the prana of the universe throbbing away? Can this body that is so limited, can it experience something bigger? So can I widen this patra, this base, this adhara, into something much bigger? You're breaking the boundaries of your mind, vital, and body. Can we break it and become a bigger existence? And that's what I feel Sri Krishna does it constantly. He makes it bigger, stretch. By the time we're done, if we keep thinking like him, our brain is able to hold on much more in understanding. Our consciousness is something new happens. If we understand just this, that he's constantly trying to do, widen, and every adhyaya is a new unveiling. Every adhyaya is a new cycle. Every adhyaya is like you're going through another 10 years of yoga. And these are deep pearls that he gives you, pearls of his great wisdom. So then there is the science of how to do it, how to widen yourself. And the Gita makes it very practical for us. Gita is the practical culmination of the symbolism of the Veda and the wisdom of the Upanishads. That's how I think we can take. So I know I've talked now, otherwise I can keep talking. So let me zip my mouth. Let me let you ask. There was a question: what is the samta difference between samta and sthairya? I think that was the question. I think I just saw it pop up. If you, whatever, Swamiji, you pick up the questions.
No, there is only one question now. I was just, as you were speaking, just wondering that one of the ways I see the shlokas is that in each one we are being given like a principle of truth, like how it is. Sometime one principle, sometime multiple.
Yes.
And normally these principles are not what we have in our own normal restricted self. For example, he's saying, you cannot waste, it cannot be wasted at all, something, or he's indestructible, right? So when we operate in life, we are not operating in based on these principles. We are thinking things can get wasted, things get destroyed, people are living and dying. So what I see is that he's constantly giving us completely some, which what you're calling as a paradigm shift. In that paradigm, there are different principles. So I think one of the thing for me is to recognize that I have different principles. So I think that needs some self-awareness. And can I see the world today? Let's say if I saw this, can I see the world differently, or can I see how my own principles give me a certain view? But if I can somehow even shift it for a second, I'll get a completely different, I'll get a unified view instead of, let's say, like a cut view of things.
Yeah.
So at an intellectual level, I feel that, if we look within ourselves, we realize that there are principles which are operating. We may not be aware of them, but there are a lot of these things, so that, I mean, just in terms of intellectually meditating over it, this is one thing which just came to me. I thought I'll just.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So you're absolutely correct. And that's something, it's just a practice now. It'll come back. The insight will come back. Someday you're stressed out and you have 100 things going on, and people are doing all their stuff, and suddenly say,
Yeah.
But that is this paradigm. Now you're just in a different, I use paradigm shift, but you can use any word. You can be in a different anukrama order. Anukrama is what we use in Vedanta.
Yeah.
You know what anukrama is. So different order, right? In the nam rupa, you're in the nam rupa. So you have a nam, you have a rupa, and everything has certain value in nam rupa, and then you change the anukrama, and suddenly your awareness changes and says, oh, this is all akara and gati. Nam is given by me falsely.
Yeah.
Everything is just akara and gati. Nothing has a name, and then suddenly everything just becomes that mysterious movement. Everything is a blur, moving, akara, gati. Everything is one. Even the so-called person watching it is part of that akara gati. Everything is akara gati. And then suddenly you reach into a different anukrama of awareness. So again, anukrama is the word that Shankara used, so I throw it so that you can keep that in your awareness. If you're talking to a Vedanti, just throw that anukrama so they'll understand what you're saying. If you talk to a modern guy, paradigm shift is what we are used to. In philosophy, we use the word paradigm. Although order is a word that is used in philosophy. So I hope, I'm also hoping that brain power, Sri Aurobindo said, we need brain power. One thing that India needs is brain power. And Mother used to say, your brain power will come if you read Sri Aurobindo and understand him. Period. That's it. So
He's the gym.
For me,
He's the gym, basically.
Yeah, that's it. That's brain power. We gotta be. We have to be on the ball with these thoughts. We have to be able to think subtly. We have to be able to think bigger scale. We have to be able to see a wider, holistic way of thinking. And so, I was never a philosopher, but I dared to write a book on Sri Aurobindo and philosophy. What do I know of philosophy? Everything I knew is from Sri Aurobindo, right? And I think someone the other day said something on the podcast that he liked it. Only one person has liked it so far, but that's good. That's a good start. So this is like, natural for us. Darshana is natural. Once you have seen, all thoughts are easy. Children's game. Like a toddler coming and thinking big thoughts, and Hegel and Kant and all, they're babies. So, but we need to be able to have that brain power. And so that was the biggest thing that Sri Aurobindo said we needed. And I think this is a good start. And that's, we are all able to think, whether you use paradigm, whether you use order, we should be able to be flexible with the mind. The mind should be like a great horse for us, and we are the horse rider. We tell the horse where to go, and the horse goes there. That's the brain power our country needs. All of us need that. And more we spread it, mastery of our mind, it will be good. And Swami Vivekananda himself is a master of his mind. Anyway, I interrupt. I digress.
I just had that thought.
Yes, your thought is beautiful.
We can take up the question which Swati has given, and I think what will be helpful, I mean, from people on the session, if anything you have not understood, or you think, how can I apply this, or you have an idea of how will I apply, maybe some of that will be helpful as a participation. But Swati's question is, what is the difference between samatha and sthairya?
Yeah, so I'll give you Sri Aurobindo's definition, because then it's pretty beautiful. Samatha is at least in Sri Krishna's yoga, samatha is a very high state where you have three stages: titiksha, udasinata, and samatha. And Sri Aurobindo also describes that in the records of yoga. If you read the records of yoga, one of the earliest chatushtaya, and he got these 7 chatushtayas from Sri Krishna. Sri Krishna gave him these things to practice. This is your yoga, just practice this, forget everything else. So he did this until he reached the siddhi of these 7 chatushtaya. Each had 4 aspects to it. So one was samatha. Sri Aurobindo was famous for having great samatha. The world was coming to an end and he would be still, no problems. Nothing moved. So sthairya is to be still. Sthairya is a stage. Sthairya, and these are preparatory stages: sthairya, dhairya, and samatha. Again, there are nuance difference. I can be very still right now. Still, sthairya. Sthir. Still, no movement. Samatha is not just stillness that is mine, but a stillness that I can express myself with. And this is something we forget. Like, we are used to talking in words, and this is the earliest, what is it called? Vaikhari in our Tantra, just the outermost way of expressing, the lowest form of expression. But there is a higher form of expression of the para, where no word is needed. And the greatest teachers or gurus, that's how they pass. They give us these shlokas out of kindness for us. Okay, fine. Okay. Allowance. But when you reach a higher point, they transmit through silence. And classically, people used to go in front of Sri Aurobindo and Mother, and he would not say a thing. Just look at them, and they would be gone. And someone described what he was doing. She described a vision that they would come, and all their inner darkness he would take without saying a word and try to cleanse it. How much darkness we all carry. So he was working through each disciple, and every disciple. Can you imagine? We can't handle our own yoga. Guru is handling the yoga of 200, 300 people, doing yoga through them. You're wide. You're no longer a person. So that universal is acting through you. We talked about becoming wider. Why do we become wider? Until a universal intelligence starts working through us. My intelligence is very limited. I can only know so much. But a universal intelligence that has kept everything together, the atoms, the molecules, the cells, the galaxies, those who like quantum physics, all the muons and bosons and morons and all those things are kept together. I don't know how morons are kept together, but they are kept together with all this. And then you have the galaxies, humongous galaxies kept together. There's an intelligence inside matter. Where is that? Hidden, but totally obvious, pervading through all that. I don't know why I'm saying that, because I forgot. Yeah, okay. Samatha. So we are reaching a point of a universal intelligence manifesting through this so-called Nama Rupa perfectly. Think about that for a moment. A universal intelligence working through whatever needs to be done at that point of time, it will do. This vital, whatever needs to be done. And then when the body is left, the body is left. That's how someone like a Sri Aurobindo, I understand, because his mind has become universal, or a Sri Krishna mind has become universal. And Swami Vivekananda, he would pick up a book and he would go like this, he would go like this, like this, like this. In a minute, you could ask him any question about the book. And someone did that with him. So, oh, he talks about it. So, okay, tell me what this is. And he's arguing for half an hour. He had a discussion. Then he quoted a paragraph from page, chapter 15 on page 80. And I said, how did you do this? He says, I don't do it with my mind. Something opens up, and it speaks through me. And when it's done, boom, I don't need to know this. I don't need to remember this. So he take the essence of the book, the intelligence of the book. So that wider consciousness can only come through if we are in samatha. If we are going haywire and jumping up and down and emotionally stressed out and having all ajita, then that consciousness withdraws. That consciousness needs a willing, surrendered, ready instrument, a nimitta. And if we understand this, then the whole Gita is about creating nimittas out of us, where our ego, first step, ego is gone. Me, myself, I, me, all that's gone. First step. The moment that I is gone, all the desires fall off. Desires will not exist. My is gone, then what is desire? And then there comes the bliss of being wider, a wider existence. Becoming wider and having the bliss of that existence. That rasa starts coming. You start noticing certain things and the joy comes. The anand we have talked about. So that anand comes also in the mind. That rasa is also there in the mind. While you're listening and understanding and intellectualizing and mastering it, you can get a mental rasa. Rasa is not just vital or physical. Mental rasa is very powerful. Look at the intellectuals. It's so heady, pun intended. So that rasa. So samatha is a stage where sthairya and dhairya are primed to the fullest level. Or if you want to say titiksha udasinata, and then samatha. Titiksha tam titikshasva bharata. Remember he said that matra sparshastu kanteya. Remember that? So the touch of matra, shitoshna, sukha, dukha, da. If it's given to you, sheet, ushna, sukha, dukha, this is all matra. All these things touching your indriya, your senses. So that is titiksha, passivity, then ascent, above it, all the movements, and then samatha, where samatha you can bring that stillness out. Your whole space around you will be still. And that's what they used to say about Sri Aurobindo, his surrounding, 3 miles around him, it was all still. Mother felt there was someone there, 3 nautical miles away from him, coming in a ship. There's something happening here. She didn't know who it was. So imagine that. So yes, we want to reach that stage of samatha. So at least the way he's described, or Sri Aurobindo is described, sthairya, dhairya, samatha. But they're interlinked. They're not separate. So don't think they're opposite. They're nuances and stages of development.
Would it be one way to look at like udasinata or titiksha is a little bit passive, and then when you go to samatha, it's also active? Like when you start your process.
Yeah. Look at Maharshi Ramana. He used to communicate in that stillness and samatha. He wouldn't even like to say a word. You would go to him, and if you talk too much, he would take his danda and come after you. He did. It was a story. There was a journalist who went to him and started talking too much and tell me. He got so upset. He not upset, maybe, as a yogi, probably never get upset. He took his danda and ran after him. And the journalist said, "Oh, how is it? He's running away." And then Maharishi Ramana is standing there laughing away. That's what he needed, a danda. Stop it. So listen to what I'm saying through the stillness instead of yapping away. Suddenly the journalist said, "Okay, this is saying something." Either he ran away thinking he's crazy or he paid attention. So we have to start going in our language also to a higher level. So Madhyama, Vaikhari Madhyama, Pashanti Vaka, where you see, you start seeing the words. That's the brain power we need. Buddhijivi, we need Buddhijivis. Buddhijivi is not an intellect. Buddhi, whose Buddhi is awake. Whose Buddhi is awake? Who has touched the Atman with his Buddhi. Buddhi is close to the Atman, so full with Atma Prakash. We need those Buddhijivis. So hopefully, if Sri Krishna is able to open all of your Buddhis, Sri Aurobindo can do that with me coming along and tagging along, then it will be good for all of us. We need Buddhijivis. We need people whose Buddhi is awake. You don't have to be intellectual. You don't have to read all these, great thinkers. There's no need for that. All the knowledge is there. But if we become true Buddhijivis, so samatha is an important aspect for it. The brain needs to be still, no movement. Then all the thoughts have relative importance. If they don't have importance, they just go away. I hope I answered it somehow. I get all excited with these questions. Swati, does this help you? I don't know. She's not going to talk after this. What is this?
Yeah. Oh, she sent a direct message to me. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, someone else questioned. I think Jitenji questioned something. What is it that you have to surrender?
It's a very good and a very basic question. So we should.
Yes, practicing meditation. But what is meditation? So we have to understand meditation. Different ways of meditating. But because people make it very difficult that you have to go down and, oh my God. I keep going to Maharishi Ramana because he was so beautiful. Just inquiry is meditation. He says, I don't even do meditation. I just inquire and things become meditative. Right? Just inquire deeply, subtly, profoundly, widely. And you're meditating always. We're meditating right now. What the heck are we doing otherwise? We are reading Sri Krishna, understanding him. That understanding is a meditation. So inquiry, thinking it through, and because thinking is not separate from seeing. Buddhi is a higher level of thinking. Dhi is a higher level of thinking until it becomes, the thought itself becomes something else. So Sri Aurobindo has a very beautiful poem, Thought the Paraclete. I don't know if you remember, if you read it, where the thought starts ascending higher and higher and higher levels. It's a little parrot. Thought the Paraclete. Paraclete is a parrot, and star comes out of his, mangoes or something, tree, leaves, and suddenly the color of the sky changes. And beautifully he's describing it. He's going into a different, so orange, it becomes a different awareness, different light. Then it goes even higher. It becomes more lucid. And if I remember the lines, I'll tell you. Beautiful lines, two very beautiful lines. I'll see if I can remember that. And then at the end, the thought disappears into the self. Self was left lone, limitless, nude, immune. I don't know, the last line, such a beautiful. The thought disappears, disappearing into a rune. If you can find that, Swamiji, that poem, we can talk about it with beauty. The thought disappears into a rune. Rune is a song or a poem. What a beautiful image he has given. The thought, the parrot disappears. Self was left. When the thought disappears, singing, slow singing. Give me the word if you can find.
It's disappeared, slow singing, a flame word rune.
A
Self-
flame word real. Self was left lone, limitless, nude, immune. And there's another beautiful line, the 16th or 7th. There are two beautiful lines. Crossing power swept silences, rapture stunned. Give me the other line. Eternal sun.
No,
Go
this
ahead.
is what you said is correct. Crossing power swept silences, rapture stunned, climbing high far ethers, eternal sun.
Eternal sun. So your thought as it climbs, crossing. Say that again, please. Crossing.
Crossing power swept.
Power swept silences, the rapture stunned. So that is where our thought can reach. So with that, I hope, you know. And Jitenji asked a question, what are you surrendering?
Yeah.
Very simple. Everything. Everything that you have, everything that you are, that's surrendered to Sri Krishna or the divine. That is the meaning of yajna. Brahmarpanam Brahmahavir Brahmagno Brahmanahutam. I love that. Who is offering? What is being offered is Brahman. Brahman is doing the offering into the Agni that is Brahman. And the one who is doing the offering is the Brahman himself. So, Brahmavatena Gantavyam. So, through the Brahman, you reach Sarva Karma Samadhina. Brahma Karma Samadhina. Shri Krishna says that your karma is your samadhi. So by surrendering, realizing that everything you are surrendering is Brahman surrendering to itself, because even what you are surrendering is not yours. It never was yours. The realization that I'm giving it all to you because it's yours already. It never was mine. Since it's not mine, I'm giving it back to you. With all the deep love and gratitude, here, it's yours. This Pariksith is yours too. Here, take it. It's all yours. Surrender to you. Do with it whatever you want. So he beautifully compares Brahmarpanam, Brahma Havi, that offering, जो घी डालते Havi, Brahma Havir, Brahmagna, into the fire that is the Brahman, Brahmanahutam. The one who is the realization at the end is the one who is offering itself is the Brahman. The moment you realize that, you're Brahmavatena Gantavyam. From the Brahman, you will walk into Brahma Karma Samadhina. Everything you do will be a Samadhi. You don't have to sit and meditate somewhere and do Samadhi. Brahma Karma Samadhi. So it's the most beautiful summary of the Veda I've read anywhere. At least in the Gita, beautifully summarized. So when you offer, when you give it out of deep love, it's to your beloved, you're giving everything, right? You don't hold back. So you just give everything. There's nothing left. So that is, it's a deep offering of bhakti and love. Here, idam na mama, right? That is the saying when we do yajna. Idam na mama. This is not mine. Here, whatever I'm putting is not mine. And everything belongs to Agni. Idam na mama. We have to remember that. Everything we are doing is not mine. Idam na mama. Nothing is mine. Not mine. Putting it back into the Agni. It's not mine. And Sri Krishna comes to that. Those who do not give are thieves. He will come and he will tell us later. In this chapter only, I think. If you do not give and what remains is yours. And if you don't do that, you're a thief. Think about that for a moment. We first take, this is mine. No, you give. And what Narayan himself says, okay, this is yours. Then you take it. That is the prasadam. If you don't do that, you're a thief. So that is the difference between Arjuna and the Kauravas. Arjuna gives himself, the others just take. for themselves. That is the difference. Anyway, I think, I hope I've answered you somewhat.
So we have one more question. Maybe we can take it up as a last question, if we have time. From Prashant, it says, dissolving of I or ego starts at intellectual plane. Inquiry of self starts with thoughts. But when going to the source, the thoughts don't arise. This practice leads to this source where thoughts disappear? Question mark. So he's asking that question, will it lead to a point of source where thoughts will disappear?
Yeah, the thoughts essentially stop. Thoughts come to an end, and what is remains. Who is thinking the thought? Who is thinking it? Are you the thought? So, if you remember Kena Upanishad, Kena Preshati Patati Mana. By whom is this mind thought? If you can if there can be observation of even one thought, you know you're not the thought. If there is observation of even one little flicker of feeling, of something going through the head, it's not you. You were never the thought, so you can't identify with the thought. That is your inquiry. Now, who is this I who is thinking? I think, therefore I am. I am thinking. Who is this I? What is it? What is the sense? Remember, eventually there's only one sense. There's only one indriya, as our Sankhya says, and that is aham. In aham, all the indriya become that. All the indriyas support that sense of I, me, I, me, myself. All the thoughts will come back to that. The thinker, who is not a thought, right? And what is that? And thought cannot reach it. If you start to think about that which is thinking, your thought will collapse. Thought will stop. The moment you reach the aham bhava, right? I amness, as you could say. Amness, where is your thought? Thought is gone. So thought will disappear. Now, if you can hold that feeling of amness, I don't know how to describe, aham, asmita. There's nothing to hold because you are that, right? So you're going to stay in that. Don't let the thought interrupt. If you can give that space, already your thought, your inquiry has taken to that which is. I'm just describing it intellectually. You asked me to give you an inquiry. So the moment you inquire it, the moment you understand it, you start looking, there's just looking and boom, gone. For that brief microsecond, fraction of a second, there is no thought. Suddenly now you just have to look carefully. So yeah, thought will reach that which is beyond thought. You just have to understand that stop identifying with the thought, no matter how brilliant it is. That's the beauty of our darshan. No matter how genius the thought is, it's okay. It's just a thought. Fine. Still a thought. So no matter how good looking Swamiji is, his Atman is still better looking. Does that help? The thought will take you. As you inquire, the thought collapses. But when it collapses, pay attention. Pay very close attention. Like a jeweler looking at his gems with a jeweler's eye. Jeweler. जो हीरे जवाहरात का जो काम करता है, the one
Johri.
looks at his gem so closely, beautifully, total attention. That's how you have to look at the thought.
It also reminds me of the, in the physical world, right? As they have gone deeper looking into the matter, whatever they knew before disappears at the next level. So
Yeah, it is
and
very,
it's shunyata.
if it's energy, and the beautiful part is it is energy, waves of energy looking at waves of energy. Think about it. Your mind, which is just waves of energy, looking at, studying all these waves of energy. So, whoa, what happened here? Suddenly you reach everything is Prakriti.
Yeah.
They haven't reached Purusha. That is the limitation of quantum physics, which is difficult. You can't measure it. No?
Cool. So I think we'll end here today. Beautiful. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. It's great joy. And अरे मुझे दादा मत बना. मैं दादा तो एक ही है. There's only one dada. Poor dada. But yeah, he's beautiful and we love him, and he keeps, poor guy. I torture him a lot. Okay. All right.
Okay. Thank you, everybody.
Namaste.
Bye.
Okay. Bye.